Welcome back to the Rebuild Ranch, folks. Welcome to part 2 of the CX500 rear wheel paint job, and we'll put it back on the bike. It's been an adventure. This wheel gave me a lot of trouble with the paint. I ended up taking the last 4 days, stripped it clean, and painted it again. So, whatever. That's life. That's the way it goes. Like I said before, don't let fear and common sense stop you. Just do it. So let's get on stripping off the tape, and we'll put it back on the bike. As you can see, nice clean edge around the rim where it meets the tire. Came out quite well. Second attempt, but it came out pretty darn good. Our drum's nice and clean still. No goop in the bearings. Looks great. These two punch marks are the alignment marks for the shaft on the brakes and the actuator arm. They align the arm properly on the shaft. This one spot on the shaft, one tooth was left out on the gear, and that is to properly align the wear indicator that slips onto the shaft. As you can see, all the teeth line up. There's supposed to be one spot where there's not a tooth mark. However, this tooth mark was put on by someone pushing it on in the wrong spot previously. Anyways, you put the wear indicator on the shaft, and then it fits nicely on that spot with the gear tooth missing. Okay, let's do our sub-assembly of our rear brake now. As we pointed out earlier in the piece of footage there's our witness mark on our shaft, and same thing on our brake lever here. If I can get it into focus, if it'll focus, right about there. You can see the little witness mark right here. It aligns back with our shaft. Our wear indicator has to go on. Wear indicator has all these teeth that align with the teeth on the shaft. However, right here, there's a couple of one tooth missing actually, and it aligns with our spot on the shaft. There we go. It's in position. We align our witness mark on the shaft and the arm. That looks good. We put in our pinch bolt. The torque arm needs torque on this pinch bolt needs to be about 15 inch-pounds, or say again foot-pounds, 11 to 16.5. So I'm going to do it for 15. Just makes it easier on my little torque wrench I have. So we'll get our 12 mil wrench on this end and our torque wrench on this end. And this is just a bar type torque wrench. As the bar deflects, it shows you on the scale foot-pounds of torque. There we go, 15 foot-pounds. That section or sub-assembly is complete. Now we can take that over and put it back on the bike. Let's go see what we can do with that. Here we go. Take the brake assembly and we just slip it back onto the wheel. Here we go. It just sits there. And then we put the wheel on the bike. So we'll set up and show you how that's done. Okay, so now we just roll our wheel back into place. Same as when we took it out. We still have our air out of the tire, so it fits a little easier inside the frame. Just wiggle it past the drive. There we go. Keep our brake assembly in place on this side.
Get our axle ready to slide through. Lift up the whole assembly. Oh, forgot something. Forgot our spacer we have to put in. Get our axle started. Actually lift the wheel up onto the drive. There we go. Get it to engage in the drive, if I can. There we go. Now, engaged in the drive. Brake assembly's in place. Okay, so the wheel's firmly on the drive. Now from the other side, hold my spacer in place, slip the axle in through the spacer and into place. Make sure it's aligned here nicely. It is. Take our rubber mallet, tap it through. There we go. Rubber mallet. Put our nut on. Get my 17 mil wrench. Okay, we have our 17 mil wrench for to hold the other side of the axle, and we have our 19 mil socket on our little torque wrench so that we can torque this up to 45 foot-pounds. So we'll hold that. We have our spacer in place on the other side. The manual says to torque this before doing up the pinch bolt on their side to lock the axle in place. So there's our, we're just getting tight there. There we go. And we have to get to our nearest hole for the pin. We're at 45 right there. This will be within our tolerance. There we go. Now our pin aligns properly for the axle. And we put our cotter key back in, which I'll go get. Stand by. Back with a cotter pin. So put the bin down through the hole and put it back into the next groove in the nut. I'm trying to get the shot clear enough for you. There we go. So that nut is secure and won't come off. Now onto the other side. Okay, first we'll hook up our torque arm for our brakes. Bolt goes through the back. It's captured on the back so it can't turn. Rubber washer, torque arm, washer, and nut. Torque value on this, 11 to 16 foot-pounds. So as long as we fall anywhere in between there and our pin hole lines up, so we can get a pin through it to keep this nut on, we'll be doing good. As I said, the bolt's captured on the back, so we don't have to hold it on the back side. Okay, we can see the hole now for the cotter pin. There we go. And there is 15 pounds. Nice and tight in place. We'll pin that in just a minute. I'm going to torque down this pinch bolt while we're sitting here. And the pinch bolt says 20 foot-pounds on that. And there is 20 foot-pounds on the pinch bolt holding the axle in place. Okay, just go get our part that goes through here to hold our brake linkage and another pin. Stand by. Back with our parts and pieces to finish the job here. Put our cotter pin through the nut through the bolt. Wrap it up both sides. Trim it off just a little bit. There we go. There, secure. Now our brake linkage. Now to get this to move, I just have to actuate the brake and it will pull this linkage far enough. I might be able to do it just by hand here. Yeah, we can do that. There we go. Put our keeper back on. And if you didn't see my last video on taking it apart, check it out. And by the way, if you like any of this, if you subscribe, that helps. Anyways, I use my 14 mil wrench as my depth gauge. Of course, it's not sitting right in front of me. Stand by. Okay, so my 14 mil wrench, I'll zoom out here a little bit. The amount of bolt that I had sticking out from the brake push rod was the depth of my 14 mil wrench from here to here. That's how much bolt was sticking out, preset since I removed it. So we'll just put it back that way. A little more. There we go. That's exactly the way the brakes were set up when I took them off. So that's the wheel back on, painted, ready for a little bit of use for the rest of this year. Shock has to be fixed up here, right? Bolt it back on, of course, assemble some other stuff. A little more rattle can paint here and there. This fender's going to get, it's got to go. Anyways, do something with that, but that's a whole nother video. Anyways, so that's the wheel, off, painted, back on. If you enjoyed, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.